swing and a drive. Right field and deep. Back goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone.
Fly the W!
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawley-Jean.
All right, Crawley, this is the Fly the W podcast. We are part of the Blue Wire Network. It's episode number 336, the Cubs pitchers and catchers report. And Crawley, I have a little breaking news as we're starting this podcast.
What do you got?
You ready for this?
Yes.
Friend of the show, friend of the pod, friend of mine, John Heyman. Kyle Wright to the Cubs, minor league deal, MLB camp invite. Wright is the major's last 20-game winner.
Yeah, yes, sir. I saw that. That is some exciting stuff. Hey,
right?
You know what?
It's not
We're going
like
to talk
massive,
about,
but it's news, right? I mean, that's the last 20-game winner in the big leagues. That's pretty wild.
We're going to talk non-roster invitees, and you never know what's going to happen with these guys, right?
All right. Don't forget to listen, download, subscribe, and most importantly, review the podcast. Follow on all the socials. I'm at Mully and Haw on X.
You can follow me at Crawley's Cubs on X, Blue Sky, TikTok, Crawley's Clubhouse on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Threads. You can email us at crawleysclubhouse@gmail.com. And Dustin, when the confetti came down in San Francisco, I said, finally, it's over and it's baseball season is underway. And even though pitchers and catchers report on Wednesday for the Cubs, there are tons of pitchers, catchers, and position players already in sunny Mesa.
All kinds of people are there, huh? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And we got Rich Biesterfeld. He's going to be jumping on in a few to kind of tell us. But, Dustin, what did you think about the new spring training caps? I got to ask your question on that. They got little desert flowers on them.
That's kind of cool. You know. Yeah, I mean, that's a good – I think that's a good I think it's a good souvenir. I see the 26 there. So, like Cactus League 26 over there on the what does that be? The left-hand side of the cap. That's it. Let's put it this way. If I were visiting, if I were going out there, I think that is a top-notch souvenir. What do you think?
I like it. It's the baby blue on cubby blue combination, similar to the Friday blues. I like it. I like the cactus. Just makes me think a little bit of Arizona. So I am glad that we are ready to talk baseball. And Dustin, as you kind of mentioned, you know, breaking news, a brand new non-roster invitee. And on Monday, the Cubs released their list of non-roster invitees. And as friend of the pod and Cubs broadcaster Alex Cohen noted on Twitter, every year since COVID, at least one non-roster invite to spring training has made the opening day roster for the Cubs. And so, you know, it's these non-roster invitees can be veterans trying to earn a job. And sometimes you get pleasant surprises. You remember Brad Keller last season, Mark Leiter in 2023. Sometimes it just clicks. It works. New pitch, new voices in their ears, whatever happens. And Dustin, the other benefit is that it allows young prospects to kind of get a taste of big league camp. So you got some names on here of some young guys like Grant Kipp and Jackson Wiggins, and you got Casey Opitz. Jonathan Long's an interesting guy, Jefferson Rojas. And then you also have some of these veterans like we talked about, you know, and so Christian Bethencourt and guys like that, you know, are Scott Kingery, guys that are going to try to catch their way on that have been through the majors for a while. But for me, I always just love seeing the young prospects. And if you could take a look, some of the Cubs' top 30 prospects that are going to be invited, Connor Nolan's number 20, Brett Bateman, Grant Kipp, Jonathan Long. He's going to be in the WBC, but he'll be in big league camp. Jefferson Rojas, Jackson Wiggins. So all those guys, it's going to be fun to see them out there. And hopefully, you know, you learn a few lessons today. And Dustin, our friend Steve Scher just said he picked up his hat today. So he got his hat from the store. Steve's out in Arizona and Mesa. And so he got his hat today. So, you know, they look like cool hats. It's just, you know, hopefully, as we talked about, one of these guys can kind of come in and give the Cubs some sort of valuable contributions like we've seen the past couple of years. We don't know who it's going to be. We don't know how it's going to work. But one person that could help us out, our dispatch from the desert this week, is Rich Biesterfeld. You know him, you love him, you follow him on all the socials. Rich, before we get started, tell me the temperature in sunny Mesa, Arizona.
I think it's about 85 right now.
Oh, 85. It's like 40. It's like 40 here. And Rich, people are driving down the street with their tops down. Not that top, but the convertible top down, and acting like school age boys. I had the windows cracked a little bit. I didn't have the heat on the seat going anymore. Turn the heater off altogether. It was a glorious thing. And that's it. That's at 40.
I know you guys have had a rough couple months. Most of my family still lives in Illinois, so I checked the temps back there, and yeah, it's been brutal recently.
I always ask what the temperature is just to kind of get me, more motivated to get a trip going out there. It's that's generally the way I kind of take a look at things. And Rich, as you probably kind of heard a little bit, pitchers and catchers are reporting. We got non-roster invitees. Tell us a little bit about your kind of feeling for the camp. I feel like ever since they redid Sloan and just made it such a beautiful place that, barely anyone shows up at the deadline. Most of these guys are in early, right?
Right. I mean, a lot of guys I've been seeing for about a month, honestly. Most of that's probably more on the minor league side of the complex, but they usually run a performance camp for some of their top minor leaguers starting in January. But you see some major leaguers mixed in there. So like Jamison Tyone, Justin Steele. Justin lives out here during the off season, but and is working back from it with his rehab. But Justin's been out here since January. I've seen Luke Little, Gavin Hollowell, Porter Hodge, James Triantos. I believe James, BJ Murray, and Jonathan Long. All three are, James on the 40-man. The other two are non-roster invitees. I believe they came out and spent their winter out here to work out at the Cubs complex all off season as well. So yeah, you see those guys. And like I say, James Triantos and Matt Shaw have been seen working out pretty steadily the last month.
All right. So if you saw Matt Shaw,
now, the one name,
the question has to be, did you see Matt Shaw in right field?
I did.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, yeah. I thought he looked pretty good. I think the thing with Matt that I've learned is since he's been drafted, I think a year ago, everybody was saying, "Oh, I don't think he can play third." The kid has such a great work ethic and dedication that I feel like if you put him out there, and he's somebody, I think the Cubs have even said he likes to know what his role is going to be so that he can put in the work. But he is going to put in the work, and I feel like he'll be fine out there. I think he'll figure it out.
Now, one of the cool things, Rich, is sometimes you see pairings of guys. And I remember when, PCA was brought up into camp and what a difference it was working with Cody Bellinger. And, I'm wondering, Alex Bregman, obviously the big free agent signing. This is on your picture and you can find him on the socials. You got that cool hat that we were talking about that Steve already bought. But do you see, obviously Alex has been there just a couple of days.
Yeah.
But have you kind of noticed, I'm wondering if maybe, Bregman kind of takes him under his wing, kind of shows him a few things, or do you notice anything like that? And what kind of presence is Bregman that you've seen in camp so far?
Sure. So I think Bregman showed up like Saturday, just briefly. It didn't work out because I think John, my buddy John Antonoff, who you had on last week, I think John got a picture of him in camp. But yesterday was actually the first day he was actually dressed in Cubs gear and was actually working out. And so, and haven't seen Matt the last couple days. I think he's had some a family issue from what I've been able to hear. So he hasn't been in camp, but it was kind of fun watching. Alex was taking ground balls at third base yesterday. The other player at third base was Pedro Ramirez. So even there, I think, I was thinking to myself, here's Pedro just added to the 40-man this winter, and he's behind, Alex Bregman. So that had to be kind of a thrill for him, I would think.
No pressure, kid, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we talked a little bit about pitchers and catchers reporting tomorrow. And, you mentioned some of these guys that are here. You got J-Mo right here. You got Matthew Boyd, great picture. You could just tell by the delivery that that's Boyd right there. And then, of course, Shota Imanaga, hoping to, bounce back from a rough end of the season. Those three guys are not under contract next year. And I guess the thing I wonder about, they're professionals. They're going to play hard anytime, but they are playing for their next contract. And you wonder, how, if that's going to impact their season, if they're going to kind of be really kind of trying to open some eyes because this is their walk year. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely something I think as Cub fans, we're all going to be keeping an eye on. The other thing I think of, though, those three guys are really pros. So I think, especially like JMO, it's fun watching him because, he can go up and down, but he can get hot. And like towards the end of the year, it seemed like he really helped carry that pitching staff. So,
Yeah.
hoping that that carries over to this year.
Yeah, 100%. And not only do you have those starters, but there's just guys that didn't have the year that they wanted last year, and they want to have the bounce back. And we're talking about pitchers and catchers. And for me, a couple names, and you mentioned a few of them. I still think Porter Hodge could be the X factor for this team. I know people probably heard me say it a lot last year, but I believe in his stuff. He just never really recovered from the injury.
Right.
Luke, Luke, lefty that throws heat, reminds me a lot of Lee Smith. A guy that just has to get that control down. And I know this is one of Dustin's favorite guys right here. Jordan Wicks didn't have the year that he wanted last year. So
Right.
I'm really interested in those three names when you're talking about storylines and going into spring training. Those are the three guys that I feel like kind of are written off right now. People, it's not in the front of people's minds, but to me, I feel like those are three guys that if one of those three hit, that could be just a huge difference.
Absolutely. I heard from one source that Jordan is really on a mission this year to prove what he can do. So I hope he has that attitude, and I hope he does, because he's had good stuff. I think he struggled, I think, a little bit last year too, whereas his role kind of seemed to vary a bit. And similar, kind of like with Porter and with Luke, I'll throw Ethan Roberts in there as well, where it seemed like with the Cubs in the pennant chase, those guys didn't get much of a look. If they got called up, they might sit in the bullpen for quite a while. They get like one appearance, and then they get sent back down. It's hard to kind of get any rhythm, so it's kind of is it a chicken or egg thing? If you don't come in and look really good, it's hard to put you back out there. But if you don't get a chance, how can you show what you can do either? So really hoping for all four of those guys to really take a step and get the opportunity and, take the proverbial bull by the horns. And
I got to ask you this, Rich, because I'm looking at the pictures that you guys are sending there. What is that black thing that looks like a sports bra that all those guys are wearing? Can you help us out here? Because
yes, I can.
I've seen that on a lot of pictures. It's not just Jordan Wicks, but I've seen it out there. What's going on with this? For those of you that are listening to the podcast, a lot of these pictures of these guys, doesn't it look, Dustin, like they're wearing a sports bra?
Exactly. That was going to be you took another question. That was going to be my follow-up. Can I take a guess? Can I take a guess what that is?
Go for it.
Is it like I've seen a lot of walkers doing this recently in my neighborhood, like a weighted, is this like a weighted type of thing to like have them carrying extra weight?
You're close.
Okay.
Not a weighted. It's really it's funny that you ask this because I get that question probably about once a week. Somebody will say something on Twitter. Why is this guy wearing a sports bra? Why are the baseball players wearing? For a better term, I believe they call it a performance vest.
Okay.
But what it's really used, it's used to capture a lot of data. We're in an age of where you can track everything and use it as input. So I believe it can capture things like heart rate, exertion, steps, all kinds of things like that, just to better understand what these guys are going through. I don't believe you can be wearing them like during a game, but during workouts, it's who maybe keeps that. You hear Dansby especially talk a lot about it, the slow heartbeat. Who are the guys that can maintain that composure and not let the heart rate get out of control, which may be overthrowing or things like that.
That's really interesting. That's good stuff. I'm glad we got to the bottom of that. Rich, let me ask you,
Sure.
do you connect with a lot of the players? Do players ask you for copies? Do you just like kind of try to direct message? You ever bring them with and hand them out? Anything like that?
Yeah, I don't do a lot of physical stuff anymore, but yeah, my thing with players, the coaches, the staff that I know, it's if almost any if they want photos, I always tell them, yeah, I'll share photos with you. I'm electronically friends with a lot of guys, or I'll
Hmm.
DM photos to them.
Okay, cool.
Parents, the same kind of thing. So for me, that's why it's fun. I've been doing this probably more seriously about 5 to 6 years. So
Okay.
seeing a lot of the guys like a James Triantos or a Kevin Alcantara, pretty sure I saw their first games in Cub uniforms.
Yeah, yeah,
So seeing them be, either making their debut or being on the verge of making their debut is a lot of fun
yeah.
to see
Very
that
cool.
growth in them.
Very interesting.
Now, one player we can't forget about the catchers. We have a lot of catcher love on Fly the W. Miguel Amaya is back, and when you take a look, last time we saw him, that injury was just horrific. He fought all the way
Oh,
back to get back to the team, and then it's just a freak injury.
mhm.
How does he look so as far as mobility? Have you seen him, running around or doing
Yeah.
anything like that?
Yeah, he was another one that yesterday was his first day in camp. But as you saw, he was shagging a little bit in the outfield. He took some BP, seemed to be moving fine. I think even towards the end, I think, in the playoffs, I think he was healthy, but he just didn't have enough reps that they were gonna, try and plug him into the lineup at that point. Was my impression, but no, I'm very hopeful for Miguel. That just was it. I think I saw the quote today about Jim DeShay's talking about about wanting to cry when you saw that injury because he had fought so hard to get back, and I believe it was his first game, hits the bag wrong, and he's back down again, hurt. Um,
Unreal.
yeah.
I'm
Now, when
guessing
you
you would have mentioned it. I'm guessing you would have mentioned it, but maybe I missed it. But I want to
Yeah.
follow up. My favorite guy, and I know a lot of people's favorite guy is PCA, and everybody's wondering if maybe he did something with the hair. So I guess first question is, has he been spotted yet? And if he has been spotted, have you seen him without the hat? And has he got anything interesting for spring training?
Yeah. So far, it's pretty normal, I believe. He's usually
Okay,
had a hat on, but yeah,
okay.
Pete's another one. Pete's been in probably about for a week or two now. He's usually wearing the beanie with the, I think it's from Japan with like the flowers on
Oh,
it.
okay.
Um, but Pete's the one guy that I always say, just watching Pete shag in the outfield, I could sit there and half hour or an hour just watch him shag, just because he'll catch the ball behind his back. He'll scale the wall. Sometimes I think the coaches might not want him scaling the wall so he doesn't get hurt. But he's just fun because he's defense is such a big part of his game, and when watching that speed is just very enjoyable.
Now, when you take a look out there, they're going to be starting these pitching fielding drills. How much fun is it for you to kind of watch these guys? They are athletes and they practice this
Oh yeah.
stuff all the time. How much fun is it to see them kind of doing those drills? And what I love about Cubs spring training is, I know they're not there yet, but a lot of the old pitchers that come around and maybe kind of give advice to the young guys, whether it's
Mhm.
Sut, whether it's Fergie, how enjoyable is it to see kind of all of these guys doing these drills and kind of some of the old timers helping the young guys out?
Oh yeah, it's a ball. Like the picture you just showed, that's actually pitchers taking ground balls at shortstop. Um, So I think a lot of it they were clocking the throws, seeing what kind of velocity they get. Um, the the strength and conditioning coaches will a lot of times come up with some crazy little game things to kind of they want to get their heart rate elevated, but they don't want to keep doing the same things over and over again. So I've seen them doing things like with like a soccer ball or a volleyball that's almost a little like rugby without violent tackles. Um, You'll see, I had pictures the other day of PCA was playing some shortstop or playing first base. You've got outfielders, playing infield, taking some ground balls there. So it's just kind of fun seeing guys in a different element. But what I have to remind myself too is a lot of the times those guys, though, if it's a pitcher or maybe even an outfielder, a lot of times those guys were the best athlete in their teams. They probably played some shortstop before, as they were growing up. So it might not be totally crazy. Right now, it looks a little different for us, but we're just not used to seeing them there.
I don't want to get all crazy, but this is Area 51 stuff, Rich. Area 51. Tell me
Uh-oh.
about the
Here we
new
go.
lab building.
Well, I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. Uh, no, it's no, I believe it's supposed to be a lot of like a kind of a hitting lab is what I'm hearing. I talked to one of my friends on the team yesterday, and he said they were kind of walking around, and it it started being put up right after spring training ended last year. It didn't get closed up until like late fall, so I think there's still a lot more stuff to kind of go in as far as permanent, but I think it's set up. I think they said something like around like 15 different hitting bays that are supposed to be in there. So a lot of stuff for hitting. One of the security people said they thought there was supposed to be like an expanded media room, maybe in the back, because the media room they have in the old performance center. Uh, I was in there last summer to for the signings of the draft picks. And that was one of my observations was it's like, boy, this isn't a very big room because it's just me and, some of the draft pick signing, but you get, a full gamut of reporters and stuff in there during spring training. It would seem like it would be pretty crowded. So those are the things I've heard so far.
All right. Maybe it's similar to Justin Stone's lab here in Illinois, but Rich, we appreciate you jumping on and just giving us a little desert dispatch. Where can everyone find these awesome photos that you have taken?
Well, thank you, sir. My Instagram handle and Instagram and Twitter /X handle are up on the screen there. It's BIEST22. Try and get stuff out there to let the Cub fans back in the Midwest see get a little taste of spring training as I can.
I'm going to drop a Crawley bomb for you, Rich. I am going to be going out to Mesa, Arizona, the first week of March. So,
Excellent.
Rich, my friend, I am looking forward to seeing you, Steve, John, just the entire crew out there.
Absolutely.
We're going to have some fun. But I thought I wanted to let you know on air that Crawley is coming back to Mesa, baby.
We're looking forward to that. We will have a good
Thanks
time.
Thanks for jumping on, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Rich.
Thanks, Dustin.
I love getting Rich's stuff, man. It's just like
that's
a fly on the
That's
wall.
a great scene setter, right? Pitchers and catchers report. We get a little photog, get a little firsthand account, find out the weather. Nice get there, Crawley.
Absolutely. And Dustin, it's exciting that a lot of these guys are there, but some of them are already there. Like I saw Seiya Suzuki's there and stuff, but they have to be there because they're leaving soon, some of these guys, for the World Baseball Classic. The roster was announced, and it looks like another fun tournament. And Dustin, the Cubs will be very well represented. If you take a look, these are just some of the guys that are going to be there for the Cubs. Team USA's got PCA, Matt Boyd, Alex Bregman, Jamison Tyone for Team Canada. Team Panama has Miguel Amaya. You got Seiya Suzuki for Team Japan. Daniel Palencia with Team Venezuela, and Javier Assad is officially on Team Mexico. But Dustin, obviously we talked about this before, and Rich has a picture. Shota's in town. He did not get that final spot for Team Japan. So I'm kind of happy about that. I wanted him to kind of be in camp and with the Cubs guys, working with Tommy Hotovy and all of those guys. So Daniel Mosco and Tyler Zombro, I want them. I want Shota here working on it. I know he probably wants to be out there, but for me personally, I'm cool with him being here. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so when you look at this, there's also a whole bunch of other players. The Cubs have 13 total players. So there's also some minor league players that are going to be.
Is that how does that rank, Crawley? How does that rank versus other teams?
I would say it's kind of in the middle, really. It's because you're talking about minor leagues as well. I'm going to double check and kind of take a look at major leagues, how that all compares. But I could just tell you that the Cubs are well represented. Some teams have 3, some have 7. The Cubs are kind of on the higher end with their 13. This is the full list right here, which is some of them that we talked about. Christian Bethancourt will be in Panama. So that's going to be kind of cool because Bethancourt will be like the third catcher. So he'll be with Miguel Amaya. So they'll be teammates that'll be down there. Jonathan Long, who's a really, really good minor league prospect, but unfortunately he's very similar to Miguel Amaya. He hits a lot, but doesn't have a lot of position positional versatility that he can play kind of first would probably be the best, or DH. He's going to be playing for Chinese Taipei. BJ Murray is playing in his second baseball classic for Great Britain. So these are all minor leaguers that you may not be familiar with. Arian Rodriguez, Panama, Yaxiel Rios from Puerto Rico. So it's good for me. I remember seeing Owen Casey for Great Britain last time. And that was really for Team Canada. And that was really kind of his big splash to me when he came out there. So I thought that was really good for him to kind of get that opportunity. So I love it for the young guys. Just so you know, exhibition games begin on March 3rd and March 4th. Team Italy is going to be in Sloan Park on March 3rd to take on the Cubs. So that'll be exciting. And then pool play begins in Tokyo on March 5th, and the rest of the sites begin pool play March 6th through the 11th. So the 6th is really the first day that we'll be awake and watching games in Puerto Rico, Houston, and Miami.
That is cool, though, right? I mean, those are going to be highly competitive games. It's good baseball. There's no doubt about that.
Now, Dustin, this I don't mean to pick on him. He's a former Cub. I love this guy. I don't know if you saw this. How about Chris Bryant? Back on the 60-day IL is back.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's why he didn't get here for that anniversary, right? I mean, maybe he was trying to get back, trying to get healthy. Maybe there is some credence that, they wanted him to stay rehabbing and not take a flight back to Chicago.
I think there's probably multiple things. It's just not been easy, Dustin. 7 years, $182 million.
It makes things a lot easier, Crowley. Makes things a lot easier. 7 years, $182 million makes things a lot easier.
It definitely eases the pain a little bit, but Chris is a competitor, and he's a guy that wants to be out there and playing. He doesn't want to be what he's become, right? He's averaged just over 42 games played per season since he signed with the Rockies in 2022. And, I just wonder sooner or later if there's just a conversation.
The 60-day IL. I mean, that's just, it's bad. I mean, that's just bad.
You just got to wonder if eventually the Rockies are going to talk to him and be like, look, man, let's do a Bobby Bonilla type thing where we just pay you, $20 million for, just defer a whole bunch of it instead of having it hit against the cap space now. I don't know.
That's interesting. Yeah, if they, some type of a buyout or something like that.
Something where they can just defer a whole bunch of this for the next 20 years, right? And he can just sit there and just try to get his health and his life back. And I just don't know if he's able to play MLB at a high level anymore with the severity of that injury. And again, it's just got to be so negative because people in Colorado are frustrated. I mean, he's the highest paid player on their team. So, another rough one, Terrence Gore. I don't know if you saw this one, Dustin. 34 years old, former Cub, Terrence Gore. He was on the wild card team that the Cubs had in 2018, and he's just a really unique player in that he could never really hit really well, but he was one of the best base stealers. He was just absolutely fast. His wife, Brittany, put it on there. He had death due to complications from what was supposed to be a routine surgery, 34, but he really broke out with the Kansas City Royals in the 2010s, made his debut in 2014, played in 49 regular season games over his first 4 MLB seasons without recording a single hit, but he would always make playoff rosters, or when they would expand the rosters, he would be on there because of his stolen bases. And so he was with the Cubs in 2018. He played 14 games, mostly as a pitch runner, but it was with the Cubs that he recorded his first hit on September 8th, 2018. And so he also stole for a base for the Cubs in the NL wildcard game against the Colorado Rockies. Unfortunately, the Cubs did not win that one, but Dustin, that to me is a tough one just in the end because, just 34 is just way too young. Prayers to his family.
Yeah, way too young. Condolences, obviously.
Yeah. He was a great kid. And one last funky story that kind of came out. I don't know if you saw this, Dustin. The infamous Norman Rockwell, the dugout painting, is going to be in the Chicago Art Institute. It was installed in the Art Institute. That was Norman Rockwell's 1948 painting. The team was just god-awful for the Saturday Evening Post. Those are real players in the painting that he painted and had them kind of pose like that. If you know what I'm talking about, if you're listening on the podcast, like everybody's just kind of dejected and down and look halfway asleep. But it was a gift from former Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner. And so that's going to be in there. So I think, Cubs fans, if you're in the Chicagoland area and maybe you're planning a trip in, it'd be fun to go to the Art Institute and maybe check it out.
Yeah, I agree. That is a cool piece. A lot of people know about that. And that's some good background that you're sharing, Crowley. This is the Fly the W podcast, proud to be part of the Blue Wire Network. It is episode number 336. The 2026 Cubs pitchers and catchers are about to report. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. 5-star reviews, we'll take them. Email us at Crowley's Clubhouse, gmail.com. And don't forget, you can watch on Crowley's Clubhouse YouTube page. In this segment, Crowley talks to Greg Hughes out of the Vines to discuss some of the top prospects in the Cubs system you should be watching in spring training and which ones have the best chance of contributing in the upcoming 2026 season. This is episode 336. The 2026 Cubs pitchers and catchers are heading to spring training, and we are part of the Blue Wire Network here at the Fly the W podcast. Don't forget to listen, review, subscribe. 5-star reviews, we'll take them. Emails, we'll read them. We'll tell you what we think. And don't forget, you can watch, as some of you are right now, on Crowley's Clubhouse YouTube page. All right, Crowley, transaction time.
Yeah, there's been, as you kind of figured, there would be a flurry with pitchers and catchers reporting this week. But Dustin, this one's the big one, and it's a great baseball story right there. How about Justin Verlander back with the Tigers, a 1-year, $13 million contract with $11 million of that deferred beginning in 2030.
Like a thank you gift, like a golden parachute. If he actually needs, money for retirement.
So $2 million now, and then starting in 2030, the rest of the $11 million are going to be out there. Dustin, he was selected the number 2 pick in the 2004 draft. He played for the Tigers 2005 to 2017, 9-time All-Star, 3-time Cy Young Award winner, AL Rookie of the Year, 2011 MVP, won the World Series in 2017 and 2022. He's one of 6 pitchers in MLB history to throw 3 no-hitters. Dustin, if one of these voters don't put him on the first ballot Hall of Fame, they really got to just start taking this away from people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the Hall of Fame voting in all the sports, Crowley. Hall of Fame voting in all the sports is under a lot of scrutiny right now.
Well, you mentioned John Heyman. He had a good point. 85% of the voters for MLB revealed their ballots. So at least they can own up to them, which I think is important.
They do. They that's exactly right. They do that. They mostly reveal theirs. Yes, they do.
They don't
They're
hide
not required
them
to,
like
but I think most guys do let them out. Mm-hmm.
Now, Dustin, he has 266 wins, 34 wins away from becoming the 25th pitcher in MLB history to secure 300 wins. Hasn't happened since Randy Johnson did it in 2009, and it probably won't happen if Verlander doesn't get it. Probably,
yeah, if he's not the guy, it's not happening. Yeah, it's not happening.
What do you think the odds are? I mean, this is a
for Verlander. Zero. There's no chance. No
zero.
Chance. Zero. There's no way. I mean, you think there's a chance? No. Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, you never know. You never know. I don't know, but I love that he gets to end with the team that he started with. So
yeah, great story, but he's not getting 35 more wins.
But he's on a much better team this year. I mean, he was a little bit injured and banged up. I don't know how he is health wise this year. I guess I remember when he wanted to go to the Cubs a few years back. He ended up in Houston. You're like, who needs old man Verlander? And then look what he ends up doing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I just wouldn't count him out just yet, but is it likely? No. Is it impossible? Hey, like I said, he's a guy, even Maddox at the very end was getting 9-10 wins a season, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's only 34 away. I mean, like I said, if this team can give him run support and he can go 5 innings, you never know. It'd be interesting. It's fun. I think it's a good storyline, and you got an old veteran with a really interesting Framber Valdez, Tariq Skubal, and now add Justin Verlander to that. The Detroit Tigers are going to be a fun team to watch again this year.
Oh, there'll be it could be a reason to go over to 35th and Shields. Maybe
Absolutely.
Once. Maybe once.
Yeah. You never know. If they have another one of those red line doubleheaders, I'll head over there, go to Wrigley, and take the red line over to 35th and Shields. But
all right, how about some moves involving the National League Central crowd?
Yeah, the Pirates with a big free agent signing. They signed 34-year-old slugger Marcell Ozuna. You know that the Pirates have pitching. What they can't do is hit the ball. I don't know if Ozuna's the answer. 35 years old, 1 year, $12 million deal. It reportedly has a $16 million mutual option for 2027. He really struggled last year, but I don't know, maybe a change of scenery, Dustin. But I think that we're going to start breaking down soon, some of these free agent grades. And I'm very curious, the Pirates are an interesting team. When I look at this NL Central, I feel comfortable saying that, I think this is a rebuilding year for the Cardinals, but I think all the other teams could surprise you. I don't think that this is a really, there's been last year, the NL Central had 3 teams in the postseason. I think that can very much happen again this year. You got a couple other guys in here. Nick Martinez, he is going to leave the Reds, so we don't have to worry about Nick Martinez. He signed a 1-year, $13 million deal with the Tampa Bay Rays. How about this one? Eric Fetty.
This one doesn't make any sense. I don't know what the Cardinals are doing. Not that he was very good down with the Cardinals, obviously, but yeah, it's a strange one.
Well, he was in Asia and he did really well. He came back. He signs with the White Sox in 2024. They flip him and they get, some prospects, and he was decent for the Cardinals when they had him in 2024. And for whatever reason, in 2025, he was god awful.
He was hot garbage. He was garbage.
He's awful for the Cardinals. It wasn't much better when he got traded to the Braves. They waived him, and then he did a little bit out of the Brewers bullpen. So now he's back with the White Sox. Maybe there's some coach. Maybe they know something. I can't say. I don't know the answers to this move. I'm just saying it's it's one of those weird baseball things. Speaking of weird baseball things. How about Aaron Savali? This is a guy, he just signed with the Athletics. I don't know. They can't call them the Vegas Athletics. I don't know what they're calling them. I think they're just calling them the Athletics for now. But listen to Savali.
There's some weird legal stuff going on with the name, right?
Yeah, very, very weird legal stuff. But you sit here and you had Savali. He's on the Brewers roster, and he gets knocked out of the roster for the kid, Jake Mizorowski, the Miz. You remember the Miz last year, right? He demands a trade. He gets traded to the White Sox for Andrew Vaughn. Now, Vaughn then turns around. He sparks the Brewers and all the way to the NLCS, right? Savali ends up waived by the White Sox, picked up by the Cubs. So this whole Aaron Savali thing just ended up really kind of throwing a lot of things off. So the Cubs faced Andrew Vaughn in the postseason. He had some big home runs, and then Savali pitched against the Brewers in the NLDS. So definitely a weird kind of circular motion going on there. But Dustin, this is the one that has me scratching my head, and because it's the Brewers, I'm not outright dismissing it. They trade Caleb Durbin to Boston. Now, remember all the talk. Boston was sniffing around Nico Horner, and Boston was sniffing around Matt Shaw. There's a lot of connection tying these in here. The Red Sox get Caleb Durbin, infielder Andrew Montessario, infielder catcher Anthony Siegler, and a competitive balance pick.
Yeah.
The Brewers get 2 left-handers and an infielder. But Dustin, here's the bizarre thing, and this is truly a Brewers thing. My guy Arizona Phil, he tweeted this out earlier. 2 Brewers finished in the top 4 of the 2025 NL Rookie of the Year. Outfielder Isaac Collins finished 3rd behind Cade Horton. Caleb Durbin finished 4th in Rookie of the Year voting. And now, not even a full season removed, both of them are traded in a matter of months. Collins is in Kansas City and Durbin going to Boston. But Dustin, you remember when we were younger in 1989 and the Cubs had the NL Rookie of the Year and the runner-up in Jerome Walton and Dwight Smith?
Yep.
Like, could you imagine the very next offseason trading them? They were 1,
No.
I mean, I'm not saying they were 1-2, but they were 3-4.
No.
Caleb
Right.
Durbin, people thought was maybe, number 2 instead of Cade Horton. There was a lot of people making that argument. I wouldn't have, but I'm just, it wasn't like these guys were at the end of their contract, like when you're talking about Freddie Peralta or Corbin Burns or one of these guys where they're not going to pay them. They're on their rookie contract. I don't get it. Do you have any?
No, I'm confused. I don't either. Not even a little bit. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, I'd be pissed. I would be so pissed if I was a Brewers fan right now. So pissed.
Yeah, Steve doesn't get it either. But I will say this again. The Brewers have something, and I don't know. They have a system. It's called KEG, but it stands for something. It's their analytics system, their computers, whatever they got going on, similar to like they have some sort of system. They continually hit on this kind of stuff, Dustin. They do these head scratching moves, and all of a sudden it seems to work out for them. And the big joke being that one of these guys that I don't know who they are that they got, one of these lefties, Kyle Harrison or Shannon Drone, you might as well give him the Cy Young Award. Get it polished up for him, because somehow or another, it always ends up seeming to work. And Dustin, I said it before. I know you disagree with me on this. I don't think to right now, if you're asking me who's going to finish in first place in the NL Central, until someone knocks the Brewers off their throne, I'm giving it to the Brewers until somebody can prove to me. It's no different than what I know that I'm going to throw some football in for you, Dustin. I know Super Bowl's ended and you're going to go through football withdrawals. It's like every Bears coach said, you got to beat the Packers, right? Mm-hmm. Then you got the North. So I'm not going to sit there and crown their ass, right? I'm not going to crown the Cubs.
I understand where you're coming from. I just feel like right now the best team in that division on paper. Again, the game is not played on paper; it's played on the grass and between the white lines. The best team, though, on paper are our Cubs.
But I said that last year when you talked about having Kyle Tucker and you talked about the team that they had and the Brewers had lost Corbin Burns and Devin Williams and all this stuff. And I said to myself, for sure, the Cubs were the best team on paper and the Brewers were the best record in the NL, not the NL Central, the NL. So until somebody can show me that the Brewers just don't keep finding magic and finding pancakes in their managers' back pockets and finding whatever it is the hell that they find, until that happens, if you're asking me today who wins the NL Central, I'm going to say right now it's the Brewers until the Cubs can prove otherwise. I whatever they're doing, whatever they got, I've heard people say they cheat, that they flip lights, that they do weird things. I don't know what it is. Somehow they do it, and I want to see the Cubs again. I want to see them 5 games ahead of the Brewers when it's all and over, when the Cubs wrap up the regular season in Boston. That's my goal. But until then, I want to see it to believe it first.
All right. So there's a handful of free agents still available, most of them pitchers, but some names that are very familiar to Chicago baseball fans, starting with number 50 on the Athletics list, Michael Kopech.
Yeah, you got 2 former Southsiders, number 30, Lucas Giolito. Mm-hmm. Max Scherzer's another guy that was kind of in the 300 win conversation. He's not going to make it. But, with Marcell Ozuna out, it's getting less and less. The one name that everybody's waiting on is Zach Gallen. Yep. And with pitchers and catchers reporting, and he's, people have said maybe on the Cubs. Who knows?
You think that's a possibility still?
I think anything's a possibility. But here's the advantage I think the Cubs have. Again, you don't know how long it's going to take to sign him, if this is going to drag out another week or 2 or what. But even if he's behind schedule, the Cubs don't have to rush him with the amount of pitching depth that they have. So, with the guys that we said that are leaving next year, as far as Tyone, we don't know if they're leaving, but are no longer under contract. Tyone, Boyd is option, Shota Imanaga. They got a lot of guys that may not be back. It may not be the worst move in the world, but again, he's going to want an opt-out after 1 year. The Cubs are not going to want to give him an opt-out until at least 2 years. So I don't know if it's probable, but it's possible.
Very good. Any of those guys make sense to you?
No, I mean, other than Gallen, that's going to be it for me, man.
Are you surprised Scherzer's a free agent?
No, I think, age is kind of caught up to him. He might be a guy that, still starts ramping it up after the All-Star break and see if he can catch on. If someone gets injured, who knows? But no, it doesn't surprise me right now.
All right, Crawley, it's a great day in Chicago because it's 40 degrees and most of the snow is melted off of my front yard. It's 85 degrees out west. We also learned that Crawley is going out west, and we heard that a lot of Cubs are already in camp. So that's a wrap Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Send us an email or any thoughts and questions, Crawley's Clubhouse, gmail.com. Watch us by subscribing to Crawley's Clubhouse YouTube channel. All right, Crawley, we're going to hear from the skipper, Craig Counsell, tomorrow. And perhaps before the week is up, we will react to that and any other news we're seeing.
Absolutely. And again, the sweetest words in baseball, pitchers and catchers report. Again, warming up here in Chicago, warming up in Arizona. Let's get some baseball going. Go Cubs!
It's all over.